All right, today let's tackle one of the biggest challenges that everyone faces and very few people have the protocols to overcome, and that's, stress. I am someone that has always been obsessed, like super obsessed with how to overcome stress in myself and in others. In the past, look, I had tension. We all have tension. When I needed to call on a prospect or an unhappy customer, look, I procrastinated. It's the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't really want to deal with it. I want to deal with fun stuff, not unfun stuff. Or how about anxiety that takes my breath away when I feel I'm going to miss my sales targets? Yeah, sometimes even Jason Forrest misses sales targets. Look, I believe that stress is a silent killer and it eats away at performance and at potential. So think of it this way. Performance is what you do that you know to do, right? So if you know to make calls, but you don't execute on those calls, that would be that you know something, but you don't do something, which means you're not performing. Well, potential is something different, and that's like what you're capable of, meaning that you haven't learned something yet, but you're capable of doing it. You just need the necessary resources in order to make it happen. Well, see, stress kills your performance and it kills your potential. So my stress comes from worries that are directly related to my work, but I also have stress outside of my work, like in my personal life, like with relationships with my wife, Mary, or with my kids. We got 3 teenage kids. Yeah, it's a lot. But here's the problem that I've realized. And that is, if I can't figure out how to remove this stress, then I will not be able to accomplish my goals and of course my mission as fast as I want to achieve it. Let me say it again. If I can't figure out how to relieve this stress or get rid of the stress, then again, I can't accomplish my mission or my goals as fast as I want to achieve it. And then for me, in my life, my mission and my goals mean everything. So this is because in life, you have your goals that you want to achieve and you have the motivational energy or fuel to achieve those goals. The problem is that your stresses, my stresses in life, take motivation away from achieving my goals and divert my motivation to thinking about the stress that I have. So the more that I or you are thinking about your stresses, then the more motivational fuel that you are using to kind of cope with your stress versus using that motivational fuel to accomplish your goals. Like, let me give you a word picture. So I want you to picture right now that stress is in the form of a robber, and that robber is trying to break into your home, and your home is your brain. The motivation that you have to accomplish your goals is what the robber is trying to steal. So can you get the picture? So again, the robber is the stress, and the stress is trying to break into your house. Your house is your brain, and the motivational fuel is like the loot. It's the thing that the stress robber is trying to steal. So check this out. I can either sit back and let the robber steal my motivation, or I can attack the robber and take my motivation that the robber is trying to steal. So in today's lesson, that's exactly what I'm going to show you is the process that I use to take back my motivation from the stress robber. All right, look, here's the deal. Stress is not just something that affects you psychologically, but it also affects you biologically. Stress, it drains your energy. It makes you feel exhausted even before your day begins. It clouds your judgment. It causes me, at least, to make poor decisions. I can think of all the poor decisions I've made in my life, and it's not because I was thinking clearly, it's because I was stressed before I actually made the decision. So probably shouldn't make decisions when you're stressed. It also erodes my confidence, right? Because the more stressed I am, the more I start to kind of create self-doubt and get into this kind of vicious downward cycle that maybe, it's me, and maybe it's not certain things, and maybe I just can't figure this thing out. And so stress is all those things. And so as you can imagine, the impact on stress in my life is huge. What I realize is if I can't attack or tackle this stress, if I can't figure out how to deal with it, then I end up missing my sales targets. And this is because I'm not on my game. You won't be on your game, obviously, if you're in stress. At the same time, I've also found that it could hurt your professional reputation, because think about this. If you're stressed, that means you're not present with the customer. That means you might say sloppy things. That means you might be kind of a jerk to your coworkers. And all that can affect your reputation, which we don't want to mess with. All right, but just imagine for a moment a world when stress doesn't hold you back. Yeah, how cool would that be? Where you can harness your stress, control it, and transform it into something more useful. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do today. I have spent the last 20 years of my life learning different modalities called neuro-linguistic programming and accelerated evolution and strategic intervention coaching. I've learned all these different modalities for really one main purpose, and that is, how do I remove the stress or the insecurities in myself and others? And today I'm going to show you exactly what I personally do to process myself. I'm going to show you how to convert your stress into something productive so that you can hit your goals and give yourself the freedom and peace from stress that you're wanting. Because that's all human beings want, right? At the end of the day, all we want is freedom and peace. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Jason Forrest, CEO of FPG.com, where we recruit, train, and build the best sales teams in the world that want to be known for having the best sales experience in their industry. It's not just about selling more. It's actually about creating a world-class sales experience for your customers. One of the things we found is that the more you focus on selling more, the less you actually sell, but the more you focus on giving the greatest show on earth, the greatest sales experience on earth, score always takes care of itself. I do these videos for free because I don't want you to waste your money on bad sales advice, and there's a lot out there. So I want to offer you advice that's better for free. And of course, if you find value in our free lessons, then contact us so we can show you how many more sales you can make when we charge you. All right, now back to today's lesson. So right now, I'm going to demonstrate a process that I personally use to first remove stress in my life so that I can have more motivational fuel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a second process that I use to get myself back on track to taking massive action towards my goal. Why is it important to kind of know both of these? Well, if you think about right now, a goal that you have, whatever it is, whatever goal that you have, be personally, professionally, right now, we're specifically talking about a sales goal. So might be making more cold calls, or in my case, calling customers that have ghosted me recently. So whatever your specific goal is. Well, the problem is you need a certain amount of motivational fuel in order to accomplish that goal. And if you don't have enough motivational fuel, then you're not going to follow through. You're going to procrastinate. You're not going to get it done. So the reason for that, again, is because you've got this stress robber in the way. So what we have to do is we have to first get the stress robber out, and then we need to take back that motivational fuel, and I'm going to show you how to immediately use that motivational fuel so you can take massive action to getting back on track towards your goal. And again, this is something that I personally do every single time that I am struggling with stress. All right, now you're probably thinking, Jason, like this is kind of a crazy thing. So you're saying like you deal with stress? Yeah. I remember one time one of my trainers came to me and he said, Jason, he goes, man, I just feel like I'm always stressed out. He goes, when does this whole stress thing go away? And I said to him very simply, I said, when you decide to not want any more out of your life. And he goes, what do you mean? And he goes, well, as soon as you do something over and over again, you duplicate it, you desensitize it, and eventually it becomes like second nature for you, and of course, it's not gonna be stressful anymore, right? Like, for example, like he grew up playing basketball, and I said, I'm sure when you first started, you were, you couldn't do the things that you could do after enough practice, right? And then all of a sudden, first you were stressed, but then after a while, you weren't really stressed anymore because it became kind of second nature. It became kind of an autopilot habit for you. Well, that's how it works. So in life, if you want more and you want to raise your game and you want to raise your standards and raise your goals, then you're basically asking to invite more stress back in your life. So if you don't want stress in your life, then you just have to be okay with the level that you're currently at. And as long as you're okay with that, then eventually you really won't have too much stress in your life. But that's not what I want, right? In my personal life, I want my kids to perform at a higher level. Well, in doing that, it creates opportunities to create stress. I want my relationship with Mary to be world-class. Well, in doing that, it creates opportunities to create stress. I want my company to 10x in size. Again, it creates opportunities to create stress. I want our customers to renew us year after year after year and create content for them that's better than everyone else out there. Well, again, it creates opportunities for stress. If I didn't want all those things, then again, I wouldn't have stress, right? I would just figure out, hey, I want to cruise today, I want to get this at a certain level, and again, I would figure out how to do that and no more stress in my life. So I hope that's helpful for you. So what I'm about to share with you right now is I call this my Free Yourself from Stress and Start Taking Action protocol. All right, there are 4 steps to removing stress. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this for you. And if you want my script that I use, like my protocol that I use, then just email us at sales@fpg.com and we'll send you like the script. I'll send you like what I personally do. But okay, step 1, the first thing I do is I ask myself, what is the most overwhelming thing that I'm dealing with right now? So again, thinking about what's the most overwhelming thing I'm dealing with right now. All right, I got it. Now in my case, it's actually a personal thing that's going on in my life right now. And so I have that in my mind, right? Now, if I was doing this for real, I would have a piece of paper and I would actually write it down. I would write down the most overwhelming thing that I'm dealing with right now. So I'm physically putting my attention on it as well as I'm thinking about it. Now, why do we want to do that? Because again, the more you resist something in life, the more it persists. The more you run towards it, the more you deal with it, the more you attack that robber, the more the robber goes away. So you don't want to be passive, you want to be active in this case. So think of it the same way as like the first time you saw a scary movie. It was super scary and it scared the crap out of you. Like for me, it was like when I first saw, Nightmare on Elm Street and the whole Freddy Krueger thing. But after you see it over and over again, it's not that scary anymore. Same thing goes with what I'm showing you right now. So you always want to run towards the roar. You want to run towards the thing that most people normally avoid. So I'm going to write down the thing that I'm dealing with right now, that I'm overwhelmed on. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down what is the emotional reaction that I'm having. So right now, if I close my eyes, the emotional reaction that I'm feeling right now is anger based upon this thing that I'm dealing with right now. So I'm going to write down the word anger. Now, the third step is I'm going to write down something negative about that emotion. All right, so what's negative about the emotion that I'm having right now? Like, how is it negatively impacting me? Well, it's distracting me. It's keeping me from, it's distracting me from being present, from making my goals. Perfect. So I'm going to write down it's distracting me from being present. All right. The fourth step I'm going to do is I'm going to write down something positive about that emotion. You're probably thinking, gosh, what could be positive about an emotion of anger? Well, behind every behavior in life, there's a positive intention. So human beings are not self-sabotaging human beings. Everything we do has a positive intention. Sometimes the way that we go about doing something doesn't actually benefit us. So there's a positive intention. So for example, what's something positive about the emotion of anger? Well, what's something positive for me about anger is it shows that I care. It shows that I give a shit, right? Like that's what's positive about it, okay? So then what I would do is I'm actually going to go back up and I'm going to loop back step 3 and 4, and I'm actually going to write it down 10 different times. So again, what's step 3 again? It's write down something negative again about that emotion. So again, for me, the emotion is anger. So what's something else that's negative about the emotion that's kind of causing more problems in my life? Well, what's something negative? It's causing me to be kind of a jerk to other people because I'm again focused more on the anger side of it. So it's causing me to be a jerk to other people. All right. So what's something positive about that emotion? Okay. So again, another thing positive about the emotion of anger is that it shows that I'm alive. It shows that I'm it shows that I'm alive. All right. So again, you can see. So right now I've come up with 2 negatives and 2 positives, but I got to come up with 10 negatives and 10 positives. Now, why do you do that? Because the more that you put the attention on it, the more you're going to learn from it, but also you're going to start to duplicate it or desensitize the charge or the impact that it has over you. What does that mean? Well, remember, the charge is where you're diverting your motivational fuel towards, right? So the robber is stealing your motivation. So that robber could be another example of the charge that's going on. And so we want to get rid of that charge, want to desensitize it, neutralize it, it's not even there anymore, so that you can take that motivation back and put it towards accomplishing your goals. So again, stick with me on this. Make sure you do it at least 10 times. You might find that, gosh, by the 7th, 8th, 9th time, you might be going, man, what else can I come up with that's either negative or positive about this? That's a good thing. That doesn't mean you're broken. It actually means that you're coming towards the end of this experience, this process. So just find anything, what's something, even the smallest thing that might be kind of silly that, again, is kind of arising in you in this situation. Okay, so then at the very end, what I always like to do is ask myself, how do I feel now? If I originally felt kind of anger about it, how do I feel now? What you will find is that when I do this, that anger goes from anger to maybe an annoyance. Well, okay, it's not completely neutralized, but the annoyance is obviously better than anger, and I can easily deal with annoyance. Annoyance isn't going to steal that much motivational fuel from me. All right, so now that I've accomplished the 4-step process to remove the charge, to remove the stress, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the second part of the protocol, and that's 5 steps to getting back on track towards your goal. All right, so here's the 5 steps. It's really cool. So the first step is you want to think of a goal that you want to achieve. So in my case, my example would be you know what, I want to call customers that have ghosted me in the last 30 days. Yeah, again, it happens sometimes. I get ghosted. I do everything in my power to not get ghosted, but sometimes I do. I'm always trying to learn from it. In my opinion, I believe that I cannot fail. I can only learn and grow. And yes, I get ghosted, not as much as I used to, but I still get ghosted. So that's my goal, right? I want to call all the customers that ghosted me in the last 30 days. The second step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write down 10 steps that I can take towards achieving that goal, even if the steps are super small. So I'm gonna write down I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna time block in my calendar a time that I'm going to do this exercise. I'm going to open my calendar. I'm going to make a list, obviously, of all the people that ghosted me in my CRM. I'm gonna print the list out or have the list in front of me. I'm gonna make sure all their phone numbers are kind of ready to go. Then what I'm gonna do, of course, is block off maybe another time to call people. So you might be thinking, Jason, these are so silly. Well, the reason why you're doing that is because you wanna actually, when you're petrified, you wanna make a list of all the things the smallest as possible, because if the task is too big, like calling everyone, then again, you'll procrastinate. So we wanna kind of start small and build momentum. So step 3 is you want to look at the steps, look at all the list of things, the 10 things or more that you came up with, and you want to circle the kind of easiest small step that you can do, right? So let's say for me, it's put a block on the calendar of when you're going to do the exercise or when I'm going to do the exercise. That's the easiest thing that I can do is just block out time to kind of do these things, right? Then step 4 is after I choose the first step, then I'm going to pick the next easiest step. And again, I'm going to block that on my calendar when I'm going to do that step as well. So again, for me, it might be I'm going to go through my CRM and I'm going to make a list of everyone who ghosted me in the last 30 days and get that list in front of me. I'm going to keep going down this list of 10 things until all the things are listed in order from easiest to hardest. Eventually, obviously, you got to make the phone calls to make it happen. So again, you're probably thinking, gosh, this seems kind of silly. Well, what you'll find is that when you're procrastinating a lot and you're super stressed, you've got to just do this because it'll build momentum by, hey, I can do the first thing and the second thing and the third thing. And then again, you'll get your momentum going back up again, and then you'll be smooth sailing once again. All right, the 5th step is probably the most important, and that is you got to commit and you got to take action. All right, so that's it. If you want this script that I wrote so that you can do this yourself, then again, contact us at salesfpg.com. What I found personally is that by focusing on this simple protocol, I found myself easily reducing the amount of stress that I was feeling, which of course caused me to stop procrastinating and start getting back on track towards my goal. I also found that I became, a better husband, a better father, to our teenagers. We got 2 teenage girls and 1 teenage boy. I became a better father to them. I became more present with them. And I became a better boss for my organization, FPG. So now let me ask you, starting now, if you could reduce your stress, how many more sales would you earn next month? And probably even a better question, how much better would you be for the people around you that love you the most and that you love the most and care about the most? I look forward to hearing about your successes. Again, if you want that written out script for this protocol, then again, just email us at sales@fpg.com, or if you want us to help your company become the best sales experience in your industry, which is not just about what you say and what you do, but it's also what you think about and removing this stress through our recruiting and training services, then contact us at fpg.com. Until next time, this is Jason Forrest. Push yourself to become a better version of you.